Hello, welcome back. Welcome back. I'm John, an old YouTuber and PC gamer. It's close to 5 p.m. I'm ready for the next one. No, that's Japan, but did not download that. I'll do that later. Forgot that. But the next one is mechanical calculator. So I was reading this computer science, then I defined all this many. Not this one, but let's just continue. I have to look what I'm doing later. So I start to get tired, so I will not talk so much, and I am on diet. I try to lose a lot of weight, so I'm a little bit tired every day, a little bit dizzy like this one because I'm not eating enough foods. But I'm not in danger of hunger because I'm still maybe more 105 kilos. I'm not in big danger of hunger. Yes, last time I was 105 kilos, 105, probably maybe a little bit lower, I hope. Last summer, 28 July, I was 133 kilos. So I'm still not more than 100 kilos, so I'm not in big danger from suffering from hunger. I will do that when I'm below 70 kilos. Then I will really need to eat some food, I think. But yes, so I'm a little bit dizzy, like this, like you drunk. That's because I'm not getting enough food, but I do that by purpose. I like to do it like this one because I'm not exercise, I'm not going to fitness center, I'm not bicycling or walk or running, I don't do anything. Just sitting here and reading this one. But you can lose a lot of weight. Just not eat so much food in many months, then you will lose a lot of kilos. That's probably not so healthy, but I don't care now because I like to get my weight down below 100 kilos and 90 kilos. Probably I damage my muscles a bit and my brain, but my body already damaged. I'm soon 60 years old and I've been smoking cigarettes 30 years. I think my health will benefit much more losing 50 kilos than I damage my body a little bit. It's much more damage to my body to have 50 kilos too much. Yes, when I'm down to 83 kilos, I have lost like 50 kilos, but maybe I'm never getting down there. But this is the mechanical calculator. And they are the forerunners for the modern computers. But before the Second World War, before the 40s and the 50s, they had some kind of mechanical calculators and stuff. This is what I try to read about it. Yes, but let's just start. I don't think we have enough power. That's 12 page, maybe or maybe not.
Mechanical calculator. Various desktop mechanical calculators used in the office from 1851 onwards. Each one has a different user interface. This picture shows clockwise from top left, an arithmometer, a comptometer, a Dalton adding machine, a Sundstrand, and an Ardner arithmometer. A mechanical calculator, or calculating machine, is a mechanical device used to perform the basic operations of arithmetic automatically, or, historically, a simulation such as an analog computer or a slide rule. Most mechanical calculators were comparable in size to small desktop computers and have been rendered obsolete by the advent of the electronic calculator and the digital computer. Surviving notes from Wilhelm Schickard in 1623 reveal that he designed and had built the earliest of modern attempts at mechanizing calculation. His machine was composed of two sets of technologies. First, an abacus made of Napier's bones, to simplify multiplications and divisions first described 6 years earlier in 1617, and for the mechanical part, it had a dialed pedometer to perform additions and subtractions. A study of the surviving notes shows a machine that would have jammed after a few entries on the same dial, 1, and that it could be damaged if a carry had to be propagated over a few digits, like adding 1 to 999.2. Schickard abandoned his project in 1624 and never mentioned it again until his death 11 years later in 1635. 2 decades after Schickard's supposedly failed attempt, in 1642, Blaise Pascal decisively solved these particular problems with his invention of the mechanical calculator. 3. Co-opted into his father's laborer's tax collector in Rouen, Pascal designed the calculator to help in the large amount of tedious arithmetic required. Winking sad smiley for, it was called Pascal's calculator or Pascaline. 5. Thomas arithmometer. The first commercially successful machine was manufactured 200 years later in 1851. It was the first mechanical calculator strong enough and reliable enough to be used daily in an office environment. For 40 years the arithmometer was the only type of mechanical calculator available for sale until the industrial production of the more successful Lardner arithmometer in 1890. 6. The comptometer, introduced in 1887, was the first machine to use a keyboard that consisted of columns of 9 keys, from 1 to 9, for each digit. The Dalton adding machine, manufactured in 1902, was the first to have a 10-key keyboard. 7. Electric motors were used on some mechanical calculators from 1901. 8. In 1961, a comptometer-type machine, the Anita MK7 from Sumlock Comptometer Limited, became the first desktop mechanical calculator to receive an all-electronic calculator engine, creating the link in between these two industries and marking the beginning of its decline. The production of mechanical calculators came to a stop in the middle of the 1970s, closing an industry that had lasted for 120 years. Charles Babbage designed 2 new kinds of mechanical calculators, which were so big that they required the power of a steam engine to operate, and that were too sophisticated to be built in his lifetime. The first one was an automatic mechanical calculator, his difference engine, which could automatically compute and print mathematical tables. In 1855, Chalk-Skeets became the first of a handful of designers to succeed at building a smaller and simpler model of his difference engine. 9. The second one was a programmable mechanical calculator, his analytical engine, which Babbage started to design in 1834. In less than 2 years he had sketched out many of the salient features of the modern computer. A crucial step was the adoption of a punched card system derived from the Jacques Loom. 10. Making it infinitely programmable. 11. In 1937, Howard Aiken convinced IBM to design and build the ASCC/Mark I, the first machine of its kind based on the architecture of the analytical engine. Winking sad smiley. 12. When the machine was finished, some hailed it as Babbage's dream come true. 13. Contents. Ancient history. The 17th century overview. Invention of the mechanical calculator. Other calculating machines. The 18th century overview. Prototypes and limited runs. The 19th century overview. Desktop calculators produced. Automatic mechanical calculators. Programmable mechanical calculators. Cash registers. Prototypes and limited runs. 1900s to 1970s mechanical calculators reach their zenith. The end of an era. See also. References. Sources. External links. Ancient history. a Chinese Yuan Pan. The number represented in the picture is 6,302,715,408. The desire to economize time and mental effort in arithmetical computations, and to eliminate human liability to error, is probably as old as the science of arithmetic itself. This desire has led to the design and construction of a variety of aids to calculation, beginning with groups of small objects, such as pebbles, first as loosely, later as counters on ruled boards, and later still as beads mounted on wires fixed in a frame, as in the abacus. This instrument was probably invented by the Semitic races and later adopted in India, whence it spread westward throughout Europe and eastward to China and Japan. After the development of the abacus, no further advances were made until John Napier devised his numbering rods, or Napier's bones, in 1617. Various forms of the bones appeared, some approaching the beginning of mechanical computation, but it was not until 1642 that Blaise Pascal gave us the first mechanical calculating machine in the sense that the term is used today. Howard Aiken proposed automatic calculating machine, presented to IBM in 1937. A short list of other precursors to the mechanical calculator must include a group of mechanical analog computers which, once set, are only modified by the continuous and repeated action of their actuators, crank handle, weight, wheel, water. Before the Common Era, there are odometers and the Antikythera mechanism, a seemingly out of place, unique, geared astronomical clock, followed more than a millennium later by early mechanical clocks, geared astrolabes, and followed in the 15th century by pedometers. These machines were all made of toothed gears linked by some sort of carry mechanisms. These machines always produce identical results for identical initial settings, unlike a mechanical calculator where all the wheels are independent but are also linked together by rules of arithmetic. The 17th century. Overview. The 17th century marked the beginning of the history of mechanical calculators, as it saw the invention of its first machines, including Pascal's calculator, in 1642. 14. Blaise Pascal had invented a machine which he presented as being able to perform computations that were previously thought to be only humanly possible. 15. In a sense, Pascal's invention was premature, in that the mechanical arts in his time were not sufficiently advanced to enable his machine to be made at an economic price, with the accuracy and strength needed for reasonably long use. This difficulty was not overcome until well on into the 19th century, by which time also a renewed stimulus to invention was given by the need for many kinds of calculation more intricate than those considered by Pascal. S. Chapman, Pascal Tercentenary Celebration, London, 1942, 16. The 17th century also saw the invention of some very powerful tools to aid arithmetic calculations like Napier's bones, logarithmic tables, and the slide rule Uhig, for their ease of use by scientists in multiplying and dividing, ruled over and impeded the use and development of mechanical calculators. 17. Until the production release of the arithmometer in the mid-19th century. 4 of Pascal's calculators and one machine built by Lepin in 1725. 18. Musée des Arts et Métiers invention of the mechanical calculator. Blaise Pascal invented a mechanical calculator with a sophisticated carry mechanism in 1642. After 3 years of effort and 50 prototypes, 19, he introduced his calculator to the public. He built 20 of these machines in the following 10 years. 20. This machine could add and subtract two numbers directly and multiply and divide by repetition. Since, unlike Schickard's machine, the Pascaline dials could only rotate in one direction, zeroing it after each calculation required the operator to dial in all 9s and then, method of re-zeroing, propagate a carry right through the machine. 21. This suggests that the carry mechanism would have proved itself in practice many times over. This is a testament to the quality of the Pascaline because none of the 17th and 18th century criticisms of the machine mentioned a problem with the carry mechanism, and yet it was fully tested on all the machines, by their resets, all the time. 22. Pascal's invention of the calculating machine, just 300 years ago, was made while he was a youth of 19. He was spurred to it by seeing the burden of arithmetical labor involved in his father's official work as supervisor of taxes at Rouen. He conceived the idea of doing work mechanically, and developed a design appropriate for this purpose, showing herein the same combination of pure science and mechanical genius that characterized his whole life. But it was one thing to conceive and design the machine, and another to get it made and put into use. Hull needed those practical gifts that he displayed later in his inventions. S. Chapman, Pascal Tercentenary Celebration, London, 1942, 16. In 1672, Gottfried Leibniz started working on adding direct multiplication to what he understood was the working of Pascal's calculator. However, it is doubtful that he had ever fully seen the mechanism, and the method could not have worked because of the lack of reversible rotation in the mechanism. Accordingly, he eventually designed an entirely new machine called the stepped reckoner. It used his Leibniz wheels, was the first two-motion calculator, the first to use cursors, creating a memory of the first operand, and the first to have a movable carriage. Leibniz built two stepped reckoners, one in 1694 and one in 1706. 23. Own live machine built in 1694 is known to exist. It was rediscovered at the end of the 19th century, having been forgotten in an attic in the University of Göttingen. 23. In 1893, the German calculating machine inventor Arthur Burckhardt was asked to put Leibniz machine in operating condition if possible. His report was favorable except for the sequence in the carry. 24. Leibniz had invented his namesake wheel and the principle of a two-motion calculator. But after 40 years of development he wasn't able to produce a machine that was fully operational. Winking sad smiley. 25. This makes Pascal's calculator the only working mechanical calculator in the 17th century. Leibniz was also the first person to describe a pinwheel calculator. 26. He once said, "It is unworthy of excellent men to lose hours like slaves in the labor of calculation which could safely be relegated to anyone else if machines were used." 27. Other calculating machines. Szilard, Pascal and Leibniz were inevitably inspired by the roll of clockwork which was highly celebrated in the 17th century. 28. However, simple-minded application of interlinked gears was insufficient for any of their purposes. Szilard introduced the use of a single-toothed mutilated gear to enable the carry to take place. Pascal improved on that with his famous weighted sorter. Leibniz went even further in relation to the ability to use a movable carriage to perform multiplication more efficiently, albeit at the expense of a fully working carry mechanism. I devised a third which works by springs and which has a very simple design. This is the one, as I have already stated, that I used many times hidden in the plain sight of an infinity of persons and which is still in operating order. Nevertheless, while always improving on it, I found reasons to change its design. Pascal, advertisement necessary to those who have curiosity to see the arithmetic machine, and to operate it, 1645, 29, when, several years ago, I saw for the first time an instrument which, when carried, automatically records the numbers of steps by a pedestrian. It occurred to me at once that the entire arithmetic could be subjected to a similar kind of machinery so that not only counting but also addition and subtraction, multiplication and division could be accomplished by a suitably arranged machine easily, promptly, and with sure results. Leibniz,